Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, your fan stories told here. Today's story is called The Monument and brings forth a question: do bad people become bad ghosts? Tim from Texas writes in, and his story would lead you to believe so. It was 4th of July weekend. I was excited because this year we were actually going to have a block party and they were going to shoot fireworks off. I was sitting on the couch watching cartoons with my brother when we heard the loudest bang that we had ever heard. "They're starting without us," my brother said as we rushed to the front door. We opened our front door to a car wrapped around a tree in our front yard. Police officers everywhere. One of them tackled me and my brother and threw us in the house. Weapon drawled, told us to stay down, stay quiet. What happened afterwards was things that I'd only seen in movies. Gunfire rained throughout the air. It sounded like a war zone for what seemed like forever. Once everything settled, it was the most graphic, vivid, and horrific thing that I'd ever seen. This gentleman and his friends had robbed a bank, unalived a woman, took her car, and led the police on a high-speed chase that ended right in my front yard. Once he hit the tree in our front yard, he had gotten out and opened fire on the police. They returned fire to protect themselves, and that's the end of his story. Or so we thought. If that story's not enough to shake you to your core, wait until you hear what happened next. A year later, the gentleman's mother came knocking on our door. She asked if she could build a monument, memorial, for him, and my mom felt her pain and said, "Of course you can." She left flowers in our front yard. It's also the night that all the activity started. Almost instantaneously, we started hearing bumps and creaks at our house. Disembodied voices. It never felt like you were truly alone. One night, my mom was walking upstairs and something had pushed her or pulled her back. She fell 3 or 4 steps, hit her head, and needed to get stitches. Another time, my brother and I had a sleepover with some friends that we had made from Cub Scouts. At 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the kids woke up screaming and holding his chest. My mom and dad rushed in to find that this young man had been cut from his navel all the way up to his chest, so deep it looked like somebody had taken a box cutter to him. After that incident, of course, we became the talk of the town. Nobody ever came over anymore. Nobody ever really associated with us anymore. But the paranormal activity didn't stop there. It actually only intensified and got worse. For years, it was that way. Dishes being broke, salt shakers being thrown, anything and everything you could think of that you've seen in a scary movie was happening at our house. All of our family would wake up with cuts and bruises, scratch marks on our backs and chest. Our house was truly haunted, and it tormented and terrified us for years. But what do? We didn't know what to do. The final straw was when it started to show itself to my mother. She was taking a shower one day, and to this day she claimed that something started to pull her hair. As she was lathering her hair, it stood straight in the air. Something was pulling her up. Every time she'd wash the soap out, it would grab and blind her eyes. She said it was like she was in a fight. It was grabbing her, pulling her down closer and harder, faster. It continued to slam her head and her hair into the wall. Finally broke loose, and there it was. I know it sounds absolutely insane, but there was a floating, almost transparent, holographic head, and we all saw it. We rushed outside, my mother covered in a towel. We didn't know what to do. We spent the night in a hotel room. That night, my mother called a spiritualist, or a priest. He came into our house the next day. We opened every door, every window, and we burned sage as he repeated prayers that I had never heard before. Energy in the house just felt so ominous and terrible. The priest continued to command the spirit to leave, but it would never go anywhere. It felt so lingering, so hard, so aggressive. That's when the priest saw it. The monument that was in our front yard to this young man. He walked towards it, and it began to move. Him and my mother tore the thing apart and found some sort of idol, I guess. He explained to my mother that it was from an ancient religion, some sort of voodoo crossover. It was wrapped in bloody cloth and feathers, and he said that the monument was pulling the energy towards it. Poured holy water all over it and took it with him, and the energy stopped. It was all gone. It never came back. For the first time in years, our house felt like home again. So what are your thoughts on this? Do evil people leave an evil presence in this world?